Welcome to the Oakdale Park and Recs meeting on August 16th, 2022. Roll call. Looks like everyone is here except for Steve. I did that backwards, but please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everyone get a chance to look at last month's minutes? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Questions and
Yes.
comments. One pertaining to the splash pad versus a pool. It wasn't that I was maybe more for a pool, I was just saying, do we know what the costs were versus a splash pad and a pool? And that made me go home afterwards and look up information that I had previously from 2016 when I first started with the Parks and Recs. And I don't know if there's a way to show this paragraph, but it kind of finalized what we thought about the splash pad at that point. Is there a way to?
I'm not sure. Is this for out at Willowbrook?
Well, we had talked about it for Willowbrook, but this was, at this point, it was going to go in Tanner's, and why they financially, based on a 1,600 square foot splash pad, the cost was close to $700,000.
For a splash pad, yeah. And then a pool, what?
This included a
100,000?
very generous 20% contingency, which is significant, but it is a high-level proposal. If we were to go with a larger splash pad at 3,200 square feet, the cost was $883,000. So council recognized that the project of this magnitude could not be financed through the current park reserve. And it's not that I didn't like the idea of a splash pad, it's just not only with the costs to build it, but then also the reoccurring costs to keep it running, and you've got to make sure the water is not contaminated and so on down the line. So that's my comment regarding the splash pad.
Well, it's something we can continue to research out, but
The notes I just read from was from August 16th of 2016. So prior to that, you can read the notes or look into it a little more, but that's where I got that information from.
all right. Any other comments, questions, concerns regarding last month's meeting minutes? Can I get a motion to approve?
All motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And those minutes are approved. Jim, I believe this is your section.
Good evening. Thanks for having me back again this month. We're going to do a little recap of what we talked about last month. Just to start out, I wanted to give a little background. It helped me to start to look at CIP a little bit more to understand it, so I wanted to include that in my memo and go over it today. So background on a CIP is that the city plans for capital maintenance and improvements by preparing a capital improvement plan, which is referred to as a CIP. The CIP represents a framework for planning the preservation and expansion of capital, including equipment, facilities, and infrastructure. It sets forth the estimated schedule, timing, and details of specific improvements by year, together with an estimated cost, the need for the improvement, and the source of the revenue to pay for the improvement. So the City Council considers the following when preparing the CIP for each project and for the overall plan. The first point is the condition of the city's infrastructure, including the projected need for the repair or replacement, the likely demand for the improvement, the estimated cost of the improvement, the available public resources, the level of overlapping debt in the city, the relative benefits and cost of alternative uses of the funds, the operating cost of the proposed improvement, and the alternatives for providing services most efficiently through shared facilities with other cities or local government, other government units. So the CIP is a planning document intended to assist policymakers and staff to plan for major capital improvement, renewal, and replacement expenditures. As a planning document, the CIP does not bind the city to the anticipated expenditures in the projected years. The CIP is not a budget, nor is it an authorization to expend funds. The authorization of the expenditures occurs through city council action and adoption of the annual budgets. So just wanted to go over that. Like I say, I found it helpful for myself to go over that and review that in planning this. So to recap from the last meeting, at the last meeting, we discussed some of the increased costs in construction that we're running into on the projects for the coming years, and how those increases affected the projected cost of the proposed improvements. We discussed the replacement and maintenance of playground structures and equipment in several parks. Many of these playground structures or equipment are at the end of their useful life. They're obsolete. We currently run into issues finding parts for maintenance and replacement of damaged or broken, vandalized pieces to keep the equipment in safe operation. Our ability to safely maintain the equipment remains the foremost issue in our urgency of replacing playground structures and equipment. We also discussed exploring if a sand volleyball court would be used by people who currently are utilizing grassy areas in the parks to play volleyball. Based on the given frequent use of the Tanner's Park sand volleyball court and the current use of the parks, the grass areas in the parks, staff's opinion that the additional volleyball court would help meet an unmet need in the community. So staff is recommending that the volleyball court be installed, consistent with what their previous recommendations were made by the engineer. So then the commissioners also suggested that we explore the possibility of using an existing basketball court at Oakdale Park, that they're asked if there would be enough space there to explore using it as a combination of a basketball court and adding a pickleball court in the open area. So had the discussion with the city engineer Bachmeyer. We looked at the measurements. We tried laying it out a couple different ways to see if it would fit. And based on the recommendations that we came up with, there really wouldn't be a good safe area for the court to be laid out, the pickleball court and the basketball court to lay out. We tried moving the court, shifting it more to a east-west alignment to see if it would fit in, but then the court became too short with the existing north-south layout and the spaces for the overlap in play. They're just, the lines are right next to each other, so it didn't seem like it would fit. And then the commissioner suggested that we add the Brockman property to the CIP. So the direction based on staff is if there's the land acquisition to be made, it would be done in a non-public form. So I think it was the best interest to not include it into the CIP at this point. So just to review some of the projects on a high level, we'd be looking at doing the trail repaving in Oakdale Park next year.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, sorry.
What do you mean in a non-public forum regarding Brockman property?
Well, I think the discussions would take place with probably the administrator and the finance director and the legal staff. The negotiation, if there was any negotiations, I think the negotiations would be done, and then it would be brought into a public forum for approval. So I think
Oh, so it's not ruled out, maybe, but it just
right,
isn't.
right, yeah, just, I think the discussions would happen, some of that would happen behind the scenes before it would be brought to the council for approval
Okay.
or denial. So, any other questions so far, or? So then we're also looking at a playground replacement. So just kind of want to touch on, we did make some changes on the spreadsheet from the draft spreadsheet from the last meeting. Of course, this is still a draft. So the playground that we would propose to replace next year would be the Tilson Park Playground. Keep the existing swing set because that's newer, and replace the aging structure that's there. Going on from that in 2024, we'd be looking at doing the ball field LED change out and another playground replacement. At this point, I think we'd be proposing Tanner's Playground at that time. And then a new project in 2024 would be to look at adding another volleyball court with no lighting if the demand were there. 2025, we'd be looking at doing some parking lot and trail repaving replacement, and then another playground structure, potentially in Oakdale Park at that point. 2026, again, we'd be looking at playground equipment replacement and some more parking lot replacement, repaving, and the tennis court practice wall at Eastside Park. And then 2027, right now, we'd be looking at additional playground replacement at Guthrie Park, and then potentially a volleyball court, and then changing some of the courts at Horseshoe Park into bags or cornhole. So the discussion we've had at staff level, I'd like to bring up tonight that's not included on the CIP. I think we'd like to propose to you tonight and look for some feedback on using some of the charitable gambling fund money that's there to do a playground replacement in 2022. And we'd like to look at doing Everly Park playground replacement with the charitable gambling fund.
I'm backing up again to the budget for 2026, Gulfview.
Oh, sure, yep. Sorry, I missed that. And we'd be looking at potentially adding the pickleball courts and lighting
Okay,
up
because
there.
for a while there, we were tabling Gulfview, and so now it's kind of back into
Well,
our choices.
sorry to interrupt, but I think based upon the planning, long-range planning, I think it's best to include it, but we're still in the planning phase with the Willowbrook project, so I think it's best to include it for now because we don't know what's going to go into the Willowbrook. So there could potentially be pickleball courts added there. And then if that were the case, this may be something that would be, a different project might be considered at that point
I
if there
just
wasn't
heard
demand,
that,
so.
I think, Jake, you had mentioned we were tabling that for reasons.
Oh, well, I think we're waiting to see what happens, if anything, with the,
Development, Cedric's Landing.
with Cedric's Landing development.
Okay.
So basically, this just keeps it on the CIP. It's broadcasted out later in the year so that if things
don't
do work
forget
out
it,
correctly, we can bring it back, and
Okay.
if it has to be moved up in the years
It's
within
better
the
to
CIP.
Thank you.
It's better to keep it on
Yep.
and not do it than to take it off and then want to do it. if
Yep.
that makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. So are there any other questions?
Well, my one comment I want to make is, it appears that we're looking at the replacement of the playground sets based on the years that they're old, like Tanner's is what, 95?
Yes.
Everly is 98, and
Tilson is 98. Yep.
so we're looking at starting at the oldest and working our way.
Yeah, and it goes more back, and I think maybe Jeff can speak to this, but when we try to get parts for it,
Right, no, I
they're-
just want to make sure,
Yeah,
I know we had made a recommendation that we should probably start with our older one because of the parts and stuff, but,
Yep,
and just kind of work our way.
right.
Just wanted to comment that, sorry.
Yep, no, that's great. Any other questions, comments?
On the charitable funds for a playground replacement this year, how are we looking? I mean, can you go into more detail of that one?
That's Okay. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Chris Volker, City Administrator. The charitable gambling funds are coming in at a faster pace than we expected. And because the council wasn't able to fund a playground replacement this year, yet they really wanted to in 2022, staff, this has not went to council yet. We're going to make the recommendation that we use that extra funding that is coming in there for what you asked for last year, which was replacement of the playground equipment. We do think the council will be supportive of that. So because it came in and Everly is kind of expensive to replace, we do have the money there. So we're going to make that recommendation if you support it to the next workshop, which is next week. So we need your answer on that today.
Everly?
Everly,
Okay.
right, Jim? Yeah, Everly. Yeah, so staff intends to, it'd just be nice to have the commission's support of that. So we weren't able to do one in 2022, so that's the idea.
Can I ask where more charitable gambling came in? Did we get more
So there's
sites throughout the city?
Exactly, and it is, they're doing well, let's just say that. They're doing very well with the pull tabs and stuff, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. All right, so if there aren't any more questions, just a little bit about the role of the Park and Rec Commission. It's just to advise the city council, the city administrator, the public works manager, and the Parks and Recreation superintendent in all matters pertaining to parks, recreation, planning, and programming. So based on that, tonight, I think what staff is looking for is if there'd be any recommendation to support bringing this proposed 2023 through 2027 Parks Capital Improvement Plan forward to the City Council.
Has anyone got questions regarding 2022, 2023 for sure? Because next year, then we can look at the projected years on moving product or projects. And can I get a motion to approve the recommendations to the City Council for the 2023 CIP?
We did talk about East Side Park volleyball court. Would
Correct.
it go in between the tennis court and the baseball? Is that where it would go?
It was proposed to go in between the tennis courts and the hockey rink. Not between it, but in that area.
Okay, that's different than
Yeah.
what originally was.
Yeah, so
proposed.
it's a little bit south of the tennis courts and east of the kind of the drainage swale in between the hockey rink and the tennis courts, somewhere in that area. We'll have to work with the pipeline
Yep,
as that runs through there, so we'll have to see where we can get it fit in and work with them.
okay.
So I have one question now that you brought up hockey rinks. Warming houses, do we not put that under Park and Rec CIP expense for the 2 locations?
For the temporary shelters, we included that in our operating budget this year for the rental and the electricity,
Yeah.
the
So I
utilities.
remember
So
originally it was that 150,000, and that's just a guess on that number, on replacing the garage next to the hockey rink at Walton. And then we were kind of holding off using those funds
Right.
to fund the temporary warming houses?
Yep.
Okay, so that's just gonna fall back on normal operating budget, okay,
Correct.
all right. Anyone else got questions? Can I get a motion to approve CIP capital improvement plans for 2023 through 2027?
All motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then
Thank you. Were there any other questions for me on any other projects?
no,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Jeff? Good
Thanks,
evening.
Chair Lockhart, Commissioners, good evening. Just give you a brief little run over. We're transitioning over to the fall from summer sports, softball. Fall softball actually kicked off on Monday night over at the complex. We laid out 11 soccer fields, 2 flag football fields, and one full-size football field. Finished installing the last 2 small soccer fields today. So they're ready, I think they're ready to go on Monday. Soccer, as we sort of got the weather break, got ahead of that. Football started on I believe it was the 8th, earlier in the month.
Pretty close.
Yeah, so they've been good. Other than that, we're just transitioning over and keeping up with the grass now that it's rained a little bit and we have something to cut, other than the irrigated parts. But, and then the seasonal college, they just started. I lost 2 last week going back to school, and I'll lose 2 more this Friday. So we'll be down to 2, well, actually 1 after this Friday. So and he'll work for another week. So it was nice. They do a great, we couldn't do it without them. They really do carry a lot of the load for us. So a great group of people. And
Were they looking to come back next year?
some of them, no, they're seniors, so they're looking at internships, and that's the thing, you get a couple good ones and handful of them, just when you got them, that turns over, which is good, that they're going to do what they want to do, a couple of engineers and various, but I think we might have 1 or 2 out of the 6 back, so. Other than that, we're just doing our daily maintenance and just trying to get up to speed with the fall sports stuff, switching over to that, so. Busy with a lot of shelter rentals. Crazy on the weekends. It's been nuts, so,
Yeah, I've seen it's been pretty busy.
yeah, which is good. I mean, like to see the parks being used, so. But stand for any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to fall back one. Were we supposed to make a motion on Eberly Park Playground recommendation?
Want to make a formal recommendation, you should.
Anyone got questions, comments, concern regarding the playground replacement at Eberly Park?
No,
Get a motion to recommend to the city council for replacement.
I'll make a motion.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Are you going to read Julie's list of stuff?
I will never do it as good as she does it, but I can give it a shot. Be happy to. Thank you. Summer camps, apparently they're all done with that, with their Small World camps, their ITS program, and their pop-up parks. It sounds like they had a great group of people, that seasonal staff that ran that for her, and had a lot of special experiences for the kids who attended that. I guess there were some notes that were attached in here from parents and the users. So we see them in the park every day. They just had a great turnout when we see them throughout, especially over here. Yeah, all the parks, but see them more over here. Moving on, I know they were supposed to have the movie in the park last Friday, and they're going to reschedule it. I don't have that date. It looked like rain Friday night, so they just it would be within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would think. That'll be rescheduled. I'm sure it'll be on the website, or you can get a hold of the Recreation Department too. They can let you know, and I'm sure it'll be posted on our city website. Fall winter newsletter, that'll be mailed out to residents in mid-September. Recreation programs will cover the months of October through January on that. Artist of the month is Joel Hillier. He returns to the Oakdale Discovery Center Art Gallery on his acrylic canvas paintings for the months of August and September. Joel lets his arm move randomly with his paintbrush and says, "I never know how it's gonna turn out." So I was up there the other day. We were working on an AC unit up there, and he's got it displayed. It's pretty neat, some of the stuff. So if you get a chance, check that out. Amped Up Entertainment, they wrapped up their Amped Up program this summer. They finished the season on a high note this week with the visit from the Raptor Center from the U of M. Over 125 were in attendance for that. And the see and learn about the birds of prey, and including an owl, hawk, and a falcon. So I know they do it out on the amphitheater back there on the stage. It's pretty neat. We watched it. Saw one earlier this spring. Didn't care for it. It was snakes, and I'm not a snake guy, so I got in my truck and left. Let's Make Stuff. They partnered with the Oakdale Library to bring Let's Make Stuff, an adult watercolor painting class at the Discovery Center on Tuesday, August 16th. Which is tonight. It's free. The program and funding the money with the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, and the class is full with 20 participants. So that took place today, and then Touch a Truck, that's coming up. We always have a good turnout for that. That's on September 13th, which is a Tuesday evening. It'll be right out here in the Walton parking lot from 5 to 7 p.m. It's great. We always seem to have great weather for that, and that's a very good turnout. So hope to see everybody.
Popular.
I hope to see everybody there. I know we have equipment from Public Works, MnDOT, garbage trucks, whatever. They come from all over, so still trying to get a helicopter to come. So I thought I've had them a couple of years, and then they backed out, so that's my goal is,
Without the FedEx truck air horn being honked by all the kids.
yeah, it gets old. We always, on our horns, on our equipment, we always pull the fuses, so it gets old after 2 hours, so. And then they also have their Family Fun Inflatables event on Saturday, September 17th. That will take place from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. It'll be right out here at Walton Park, in front of the band shell area. They usually have 2,000 plus in attendance for that. And I don't know if that's the same weekend as the soccer jamboree. It used to be held on that, but if not,
Yeah,
I think it is.
It is.
And they just do, it's a great thing. If you haven't seen it or been there, it's just turned out, the kids love it. Adults love it, and they've got stuff for everybody, so. Like I say, I didn't do it as good as Julie does it, but I'll stand for any questions, and if I can't answer them, I'll get an answer to you.
You did a
Can I
great
make a
job.
comment?
Yeah?
I love some of the bands that we had on our lineup for the concert
Yeah,
series.
at the
this year.
band shell out here. I know I went by a
Very
couple
good.
nights
The
when they
steel
had
drum
it.
band was excellent.
Yeah, it looked like they had quite a good turnout. The two that I didn't attend them, but I went by while they were here, and
Yeah, they were
good
very
attendance.
good.
They had good
And-
weather for it too all
Yes,
summer,
yeah, we
so.
did have some good weather and just great nights to be listening
Yeah.
to a band outside.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and Jeff, I just want to make two comments. You've touched on them a little bit, but the Raptor event that was
Yeah.
up here was very cool.
Good.
And the presenter was good. There's a lot more people than I had anticipated.
good.
So it was really good. And I want to put a plug in for the Maplewood Oakdale Lions Club at the Touch a Truck event. Cheap concessions, and we're looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, I apologize, I missed that in there. Cheaters, they're right there. Yeah, they're set up in the corner over here. They do a great job every year for us, so. And when you say cheap, you can't eat any cheaper than that, so. Yeah, if you're looking for a hot dog and a bag of chips and something to drink, won't cost
That's
you very
being
much.
put on by the Tartan Soccer sessions?
Maplewood Oakdale Lions.
All lines are doing,
Yeah,
okay.
yep. Yeah. Anything else?
Questions for Jeff? Nope. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner comments. Freddie, got anything?
Got nothing.
Mark? No. Glenn?
I just had one thing. Jim, I guess I was wondering if you found out anything additional about those cracks in the Oakdale Park tennis courts that the resurfacing job didn't last very well for very long.
Do you want me to touch on that? So when you say, it's not a resurfacing job. When they,
Oh, it wasn't.
it's more of cosmetic than it is structural. I've filled it twice. I don't know if it's on a crown line or a frost line there. I should say me and the crew, 3 years ago, we filled it, and then I temporarily patched it with some repair. It was cracked the next spring, did it again, and then when they did it last year, or was it 20, it cracked again. So it's gotta be on a crown on that hill.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
so it's not a complete resurfacing, it's painting, it's more of a cosmetic deal. So in order to fix that, we'd probably have to remove the whole court, and it looks bad. I mean, it's sad, you see that new court painted and redone, but yeah, so it's more of a cosmetic resurface, repainting job than it is when you talk like coming in and milling up your street and overlaying it. So
Okay.
that's what I got from the engineer, our previous Brian, when I talked to him about it last year.
Yeah.
And there's either a crown there or a frost line that it's just,
Yeah, because since it didn't make it even through a winter.
no.
I
And I
just
think
thought, okay, there's something structurally wrong there.
yeah, there's a frost heat. Brian thought there might be a frost line right there. It's just a crown that when the frost heaves it and then it settles back down, so.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah,
So
you're
we could
welcome.
probably see that on our CIP in a few years. All right, Jan?
Yeah, again, I'll put a little plug in for our Oakdale Wellness 50+ group. Coming up this Thursday, August 18th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m., we are starting our Be Safe and Well series. This one, the fire department is going to be there. They're gonna do some kitchen fire safety, some carbon monoxide, and smoke detectors, and then general fire safety. It should really be a good start on our series. Good information. Anybody is welcome to come. And then it will follow up Thursday, September 15th with self-defense with Glenn Giacoletta. You can say something about that if you want, Glenn, or,
Gonna do the same thing I did last year.
well, but it's always good to have self-defense and learn just the basic concepts, so you're prepared when something happens and you're not panicking. And then the third one will be Thursday, September 29th, and that's crime prevention, and that's going to be done by our Oakdale Police Department. So lots of good information on all 3 nights, and we hope that people will attend and benefit from it. So if you want to reserve your spot, you can call the Oakdale number 651-747-3860 or online www.oakdalefund.com. And these are our free events.
Awesome. Glenn? I'm sorry.
Oh, one more thing. It's at Oakdale Discovery Center, all 3.
All right. Glenn Berth.
I'm good.
You're good? All right. I got one thing, just want to thank the fire department and the police departments for coming out on National Night Out. They did stop by our place, which was kind of neat to see. The kids had fun. They were early, so they got at where our crowd was small, but it still worked out. It was a good time.
Good.
Now, Mr. Ingebrigtson.
I have nothing, if you have any questions.
Anyone got questions for Jake? No? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Then a motion to adjourn.
Radio motion.
Ready motion, second?
Second.
Glenn? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, and good night.